At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 350 plus programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Faith, spiritual values, moral issues, government, economy, education, work, responsibility. What we think about these depends on our worldview. Now, VCY America presents Worldview Radio with Brannon House.
And welcome. Glad you're with us on this June 26, 2025. We're going to be joined by Shahram Hadian and Usama Dakdok. You know, one of the things we like to do here, folks, is to talk about trends. And of course, we've seen one of the trends continuing to develop as, well, my next two guests have predicted for America. And that is the rise of Islam. The rise of Islam. Here, America has had a lot of attention put this week toward the Islamic Republic of Iran. But as we've been saying for the last 2 weeks, what about attention to Iran rising right within America? Not just Iran, but how about Saudi Arabia and other countries of Islamic origin? Well, we now have seen this week the Democrat Marxist Islamists win the Democrat primary in New York, which almost certainly ensures that he will become the mayor of New York. But maybe he won't. We'll see. But it seems like this is a trend. There are reports out today that many rich folks, I don't know how they classify rich anymore these days, but folks with a lot of resources are leaving New York and they're buying properties in Florida. Now, Florida could certainly use that because they're kind of in a little bit of a real estate crisis there in Florida, I read, particularly dealing with the HOAs of so many of the condos, putting on assessments, high assessments on the condos. I think that was after a condo collapsed about 2 years ago. So they had to go in and do a lot of work and reassessment. And so I guess there's these assessments that were given. And for a lot of folks, it was unbearable, unaffordable. And now, of course, we see a lot of these housing prices in Florida, people buying in at the high, and now the prices have dropped and they're upside down, and a lot of houses on the market, different things. But apparently, another report today says this is going to be great for Florida, for their real estate, as a lot of these folks, since Tuesday's election primary win, are leaving Florida. New York, headed to Florida. So this is very interesting. But is this a trend that's going to continue to accelerate in America? Now, one of the articles out today at a website I follow is this headline: why is the Texas state government giving $13 million to Islamic extremist mosques and community groups? We've had a lot of focus on Texas, haven't we, the last few years, particularly with Yasser Qadi leaving the mosque down the street from our studio and going to Texas, and the growth of Epic, about 402 acres. And I guess they're going to do another, part. That's what we've been reporting. And there's been a lot of talk by the politicians in Texas, a lot of tweeting, a lot of window dressing, but not much action, really, has there? And now we find out that the state of Texas has been giving $13 million to Islamic mosques and community groups. Well, if this can happen in Texas, folks, it can pretty well happen anywhere, which really begs the question, in the next 10 to 20 years, where are we going to be? That's what my wife asked me yesterday. She said, where is this headed? What does this mean? I said, that's a great question. I think what it means is you're going to increasingly see Islamic and Islamic Marxist. Isn't that wonderful, by the way? I'm being sarcastic. The red-green axis embodied in one individual, the red and the green, the red being the Marxist, the green being the Islamist. One guy, he embodies the red-green axis. But isn't that what Carlos the Jackal said? It will take a coalition of the Marxists and Islamists to bring down America. Are they going to do it? So my wife says, what do you think is the trend here? I said, I think the trend is over the next 10 to 20 years, you are going to see many, many members of the House and the Senate that are diehard Muslims, Islamist. You're going to see more mayors and governors and people in your state legislature. And Americans in 20 years will ask themselves, and maybe less than that, folks, will ask themselves, how did this happen? It's almost like 9/11, and of course, people will send you emails telling you that this was done by the Jews. Really? Come on, folks. But it's almost like 9/11 was the opportunity for Americans to wake up and understand this worldview. One of the 6 dominant worldviews that rule the world, Islam being one of them. And many in our audience wanted to know a lot about Islam after 9/11. And many of you are very, very skilled in talking about Islam and what that worldview is all about. And of course, some of it is thanks to broadcasts like this, Crosstalk, the broadcast of Usama Dakdock, the work of Jerome Hadian, Pamela Geller, Dr. Bill Warner, Annie Cyrus. So many that have talked about it. Can't leave out, of course, Robert Spencer, Jihad Watch. I better stop naming names because I can't name everybody, but there's a lot of folks that have been doing their very best to try to wake up Americans. And we kind of thought after 9/11, I think we're going to actually be able to educate the American people about this. But if someone had told you 24 years ago, after 9/11, that we would see the growth, the rise of Islam, more mosques, more calls to prayer over major American cities, building huge compounds, openly calling for overthrowing our government, implementing Islamic law. And this would be imams in America, and ne'er a word really would be said about it except for the normal broadcasters, reporters, journalists, and websites that I mentioned a while ago. You would say that's not going to happen. The American people are going to get up to speed on this real fast. One has to wonder if the desire for the Abraham Accords, and I hear more nations are now willing to jump on board of the Abraham Accords now that the Iran problem has supposedly been solved. One has to wonder if the Abraham Accords is going to further be a Trojan horse in America for letting Islam grow. How can you attract the Islamic nations of the world to come together for some kind of peace deal if you're exposing it and telling the truth about it in America? How can our country be leading the way on that while also combating it inside our own country? Is that a legitimate concern? Joining me now is indeed Usama Dakdock, born and raised in Egypt. Never a Muslim. His daddy planted churches all over Egypt before, I guess, Muslim Brotherhood burned a lot of them down. My other guest, born and raised in Iran, he was a Muslim. His daddy and mama were not very serious at all. They were Muslim by heritage, not really by practice. And they didn't want to live under Sharia. So when the Shah fell, they got out 6 weeks before and said, we're getting out of here. I don't want to live under that. And he joins us. Guys, welcome to the broadcast. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Brennan.
Thank you, Usama. Good to hear your voice, my friend. Hi, Sharam.
Yes, sir. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. All right. Let me start with you, Sharam. What do you make of my opening monologue? You want to take some swings at that?
Yeah, I mean, everything is right on with regards to what you described, what has been the pattern, what we've been seeing, the fact that there was, as you said, after 9/11, and then also with the election of Barack Hussein Obama, there was a growing interest in Islam and understanding the threat that this poses, and then it seemed to has waned. But like this year, I don't know. I guess I can say thank God that there is a growing interest again. Although I'm not saying I'm grateful for the fact that we're seeing these problems because, as you just said, Brandon, how many years have we been voices crying out in the wilderness saying what was predicted. And certainly when it comes to New York, Minnesota, Michigan, Texas, some of these other places, this is exactly what we believe is growing. But I think the bigger part of this is, and you and I talked about this a few weeks ago, is that it's not just the Islamic side, but the red side is also growing. So you have this open now, red-green, Marxist, socialist, Islamic movement. They're bragging about the size of their army. They're bragging about their influence. So we can't just dismiss, as I've heard so many people over the years, oh, well, don't worry about the Muslims. They're only, 1%. I remember a few weeks ago, from Texas, and he said, oh, we're not worried about the Muslims. We outnumber them. Like, what an ignorant statement, not understanding this ideology. But you're absolutely right. We're seeing a systematic takeover, and it's not decreasing, it's increasing, unfortunately.
And I think that they use ranked choice voting in New York City, which is very hard to explain. I mean, I've interviewed in person people like Carrie Lake and others, and tried to get them to explain ranked choice voting, and they have a hard time explaining it. I guess I could get on someone tonight like Garland Federico to talk about it, but I'm not so sure how many people actually voted for him. In other words, I was reading numbers today, and I can't verify them. It didn't take a very big percentage to pick him. How does it work? The Mirror says in New York City's version, voters get to rank up to 5 candidates from first to last on the ballot. If one candidate is the first choice of a majority of voters, more than 50%, that person wins the race outright, just like in a traditional election. If nobody hits the threshold, ranked choice analysis kicks in. Vote tabulation is done by computer in rounds. After the first round, the candidate in last place, the candidate ranked number 1 by the fewest amount of people, is eliminated. The computer then looks at the ballot cast by people who ranked that candidate first to see who ranked second. Those people's votes are then redistributed to their second choices. That process then repeats as more candidates are eliminated. Voters' third, fourth, and even fifth choices could potentially come into play. Rounds continue until there are only 2 candidates left. The one with the most votes wins. 11 candidates were on the ballot in the Democrat mayoral primary. Incumbent Mayor Eric Adams wasn't one of them. He's a Democrat, but is running as an independent. The Republican Party has already picked its nominee, Guardian Angels founder Curtis Sliwell. So I wonder how many people actually voted for this Marxist Islamist, Shahram?
Well, that's a great question. Into just some of the analysis that I read, that you had. I mean, first of all, let's remember how many hundreds of thousands of illegals have been brought into New York City over the last number of years that then are immediately registered to vote, because especially in local elections where that is being allowed. I ran into this when I was running for governor in Washington State, Brandon, where in the state, every person undocumented who gets a driver license was automatically offered voter registration without proof of citizenship or at all. So that's one factor, but the only place that I've really followed this was, of course, with Sarah Palin up in Alaska with the ranked choice voting, and it is absolutely convoluted.
And that's one of the ones. That's one of the ones I had.
Sort of algorithm.
Yeah, that's one of the ones I had trying to explain it to me. She was trying to explain it to me in person at CPAC at the desk, and it was very confusing. We'll be right back. We'll hear from Usama on the other side of the break. Don't go away.
Nature has a rhythm, a quiet strength, a way of restoring, protecting, and renewing us. Wellness isn't just about how you feel today. It's the quiet choices you make for tomorrow. At myvitamin.com/worldview, we've made daily self-care simple. Quality vitamins, daily supplements, and targeted nutrition. myvitamin.com/worldview makes it easy. Pure ingredients thoughtfully combined, tailored for your body. formulated by a doctor who has over 25 years of medical practice experience and is a certified functional medicine provider. Visit myvitamin.com/worldview today and take the next step towards strength, balance, and resilience. Discover the wide range of med packs made for you and your loved ones. What you nurture today becomes the strength you walk in tomorrow.
All right, welcome back. Glad you are with us. I just looked up real quick to see how many he won by. This is AM New York. By the numbers, how and where Zohran Mamdani won the New York City's mayor's primary.
At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 350 plus programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
The first round votes are still trickling in, and tabulation will proceed past multiple rounds should no candidate earn a majority outright. Data from the New York City Board of Election provides insight into which boroughs and districts may have won him this race. And it goes into it. But yeah, this is a really convoluted, the ranked choice voting, hard to understand for sure. Usama joins us as well, thestraightway.org, thestraightway.org. Usama, your thoughts on my opening monologue and this race. And particularly, I want to have you focus on the part of my monologue where I mentioned where we're going in the next 10 to 20 years, and maybe less than 20 years. And that is that you're going to see more and more governors, more and more mayors of major cities, more and more members of the House and Senate are going to be outright Islamists. True or false?
Absolutely. Here's the deal, Brennan. If you know the ideology of Islam, which comes from the Quran and the teaching of Muhammad in the Hadith, you will discover that Muhammad will never allow Muslims to immigrate to any country except for the purpose of expanding the territory of Islam, except for the case of performing jihad. Otherwise, it is forbidden in Islam for Muslims to come to America. Add to that, when I was in Egypt 35, 40 years ago, I heard this exaggerating statement by Muslim imams on our TV, in our radio, in our mosque, as they have the loudspeaker outside the mosque every Friday. And the imams were saying that they will come and we will take over America. We will take over the West. We will use their law to take over their country. When I used to hear this as a grown-up young man in Egypt, I thought that imam is nuts. That imam is drinking or smoking something he needs to stop. Because there is no way for America to allow Muslims to take over America. Well, guess what? These imams knew exactly what they're talking about. Sadly, the American people until today do not know what's going on. As Brother Shahram said in his first segment, that they think that there's only 1% Muslims. There's only 2% Muslim in our state. Therefore, we're fine. I do not know which American would like to have, a man or a woman, 1 or 2% of his cells in his body to be covered with cancer. I'm talking about a little bit in the kidney, a little in the bones, a little bit in the blood. We just give them a little 1 or 2% cancer cell in their body. I'm sorry. That is a very statement of ignorance. Muslims are here for one reason only, to take over America. They're here to perform jihad, and they will do it in many ways. One of these ways is the deception. And sadly, Brennan, I see the Democrats are giving the Muslims the front line. I remember when Nancy Pelosi, she was so happy about some man in California who was running as a state senate, and she was telling him on the mic, hot mic, tell them you're a Muslim, tell them you're a Muslim, and she's bragging about it. She was so stupid to say that statement. Why? He's so smart, he does not want them to know he's a Muslim. And so on. Now we see Muslims running for office everywhere, as we predicted years and years ago through your ministry, that this is exactly what will come. Muslims are here to take over. Sadly, the liberals are using them, and the liberals are used as useful idiots to dig the graves, not only for the Democrats, but for the entire country. The more Muslims we have in America as mayors, I can say let's just look at London and see what the Muslim mayor in London is doing, and that's exactly what you're going to get here in America.
Mm-hmm. And I appreciate Donald Trump putting out a tweet yesterday talking about Zanran Mamdani, but he left out something. Here he said, it's finally happened. The Democrats have crossed the line. Zanran Mamdani, 100% communist lunatic, has just won the Democrat primary and is on his way to becoming mayor. We've had radical lefties before, but this is getting a little ridiculous. He looks terrible. His voice is grating. He's not very smart. He's got AOC +3, dummies all three backing him. And even our great Palestinian senator, crying Chuck Schumer, is groveling over him. Yes, this is a big moment in the history of our country. But notice what he left out. A 100% communist lunatic. That's not actually true. He's not just 100% communist. He's an Islamic Marxist. Why did he leave out the word Islam?
That's exactly what's happened everywhere you go. I was watching Fox News this morning for almost an hour, and I got sick because they were going to talk about one of the segments, and they got that lady to talk about that nutcase guy running as a mayor in New York, and they talked for almost 9 minutes. That's a long time, and they never mentioned that he's a Muslim. I do not know what is wrong with Fox and this media. They will not tell the American people that he is a Muslim. I mean, it's not just he's a Muslim, brother. Think about it. CARE, the Council on American-Islamic Relations, has given him $100,000. I mean, that's a lot of money. ACLU gave him $2,500. But why CARE, Hamas, Muslim Brotherhood, will support a Muslim man unless he is 100% and on the same line with their ideology? We're fighting Hamas overseas and we give them America? What is wrong with us?
Shahram?
Hey, Brandon.
Yep, jump in, Shahram.
Quick question for Usama, if I can, because he's not just any Muslim. This Mr. Mamdani, who is a sitting city council member in New York. Let's not forget that the city of New York declared the Islamic call of prayer to be broadcast across the entire city back in 2023. After Minneapolis did it. No limits. It was Mayor Adams, current mayor, who did this. Usama, what is the word Ithna Ashar?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part of your thought, Brother Shahram.
Say that again?
What's the last part? He didn't hear you. You broke up.
Oh, Ithna Ashari.
What is that, Usama?
I know Ithna is Islamic State, Islamic. Islamic. No, bro, I will not recall that. I wish I can read it in Arabic. If you send it to me,
that's okay. Yeah,
text,
I'll text it to you. But according to what I'm reading, if this is accurate, that he had tweeted back in 2019 that he said, "God mad love for my Ismailis, but I'm actually Ithna, not Isna, but Ithna, Ithna." Ashari, which my understanding is he's saying I'm a 12er. I'm a supporter of Shia Islam's belief in the coming Mahdi. This is the same regime in Iran that is Khomeini, right? They're 12ers. They believe that the Mahdi came and he's coming again. The 12th Imam, he came in the 9th century. He's coming again. I heard all that. But I don't know how much truth are in that. I have no idea. But he is because he is from India, Pakistan area, and as you said, the Muslim Brotherhood giving them the money. Why would this be York, Brandon, is going to broadcast the Islamic call of prayer throughout the entire city? They have the most number of mosques in any city in America. Then why would we be shocked that then they are gaining political power? Political action committees. I know we got to go to a break probably, but this shouldn't be a shock if we are tracking what their agenda is. The problem is we don't seem to believe.
Let's Shahram, let's do this. Let's see if we can get
sabotage and take over America.
You're breaking up. I don't know if someone keeps calling your phone over and over or what, but let's see if we can get that call waiting turned off if that's what it is, or get you in a better cell area. Listen to this, guys, and here we go. Listen to this. You got other audio? All right, let me get rid of that. This is him running for mayor. Also talking about obviously he's promoting the whole gay agenda. Still got it, Logan? Still got it? Other audio. Where would that be? All right. Okay, I got rid of it. There we go. All right, now here's this guy running for mayor. Here we go. Sorry about that, guys. Here we go.
And one of the things that we've said beyond saying we're going to make this a sanctuary city for LGBT.
Okay, once a sanctuary, there's a lot of background noise. A sanctuary city for LGBTQIA plus workers. And I think he's talking to a trans when he's saying this. I think that's what that is. Beyond saying we're going to establish an office of LGBTQIA plus affairs.
Is also that
we're also going to provide $65 million.
$65 million in funding.
Of funding for gender affirming care.
The same amount of funding
that the federal government threatened to pull out from local providers for the kind of work.
And in this moment,
especially if we want to fight the Trump administration, we have to do so by fully funding our own services, taxing the wealthy New Yorkers and corporations here. Okay, so apparently he's obviously for, quote, gender affirming care for children. Now, how does this Usama fit with Islam? How does his promotion of the is this again taqiyya? Can he do this under taqiyya? Or what are the Muslims in New York City thinking of him pushing the LGBTQ agenda? Usama?
Weaken America, divide in America, destroy America so we can conquer America. The only way Muslims can take over America is to destroy America from within. And if you can, I guarantee you, you will never see a Muslim man becoming a woman. You will never see two Muslim men gay. You will never see two Muslim women lesbian, but you will see them have lots of babies. And here we go. Let us destroy America, pick up the big cities like New York, and promote all what the wickedness of the devil can be to destroy America, and then we can dance over the dead body. As my friend Yusuf from Saudi Arabia, who's a believer in Christ right now, said, he said, Muslims are so smart. They are working with all the people who will make America so weak so they can use them to take over America, and then they will destroy them. The gay and lesbian, all these groups you're going to mention here, will be destroyed next by the hand of the Muslims after they use them, the Muslims use them to take over America. So the only way for Muslims to take over New York or any city in America is make it divided and make it weak, and then watch what the Muslim will do in the near future.
And I'm also reading that some folks in New York that are lifelong folks in New York, lifelong, they're saying one reason this guy won is because a lot of New Yorkers in New York City stand around and they complain, but then they don't go vote. But the Islamists and the radicals and the leftists and the progressives, they do go vote. So one guy in New York who's lived there his whole life is posting on social media, we're doing this to ourselves because we don't show up for these primaries and the other side does. He might have a point. Here's another clip.
I know that Jewish New Yorkers, like Jewish Americans, are fearful in this moment of anti-Semitism. They're fearful, especially after the horrific attacks that we saw in Washington, D.C. and in Boulder, Colorado. And they're fearful also in conversations that I have heard myself about life in this city. I spoke to a Jewish man in Williamsburg not too many weeks ago who told me about the fact that he now locks the door that he used to close, that he used to keep open for years because of a fear of who may come in. I spoke to a friend of mine after October 7th who told me about going to his synagogue for Shabbat services and hearing the door open behind him and turning around with a tremor going up his back, not knowing who was walking in and what they wished for them. And ultimately, it's through the conversations I've had with Jewish New Yorkers that I have developed a proposal for the Department of Community Safety that would include an 800% increase in funding for hate crime prevention programs. Because ultimately, we cannot simply say that anti-Semitism has no home in this city or no place in this country. We have to do more than talk about it. We have to tackle it. And that's what we will do through this funding and through this commitment. We will root out bigotry across the 5 boroughs.
Okay, and of course, rooting out bigotry will mean you'll have a hard time speaking truth about Islam. So watch and see if some of the Jews take the bait on this, because Tony Blair tried this in Great Britain, and a lot of the rabbis said, I'm sorry, we don't like Holocaust deniers, but we do love free speech. We'll be right back. Hello, I'm Brandon House. Is the government tracking you? Do they have access to all your data? Well, if you go to worldviewtalk.com, you'll find out about a cell phone company that, well, does not store your data. They don't do that. This is what they're known for. They don't store your data. You have privacy. You're not being tracked. That's why a lot of folks are turning to worldviewtalk.com. You'll find their prices are very competitive. All the details are there at worldviewtalk.com. Again, worldviewtalk.com. Oh, while you're there, not only do they have cell phones that aren't tracking you, you can find out about how to get a satellite phone. Should the whole system go down and you want to communicate with a family member or a loved one, you might want to have a satellite phone. Or how about their solar generators? They have great solar generators. Check them all out right now. Worldviewtalk.com, worldviewtalk.com. All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us. So now the New York City Islamic Marxist candidate wants to be the friend of the Jews. But isn't this the guy that was running around pushing boycott, divestment, BDS, boycott, divestment, sanctions, BDS, boycott all Israeli products? Wasn't he the one that was speaking out at a lot of these pro-Hamas, pro-Palestinian rallies? Remember now, this guy's part of the Democrat Socialist of America. Hasn't he been anti-Israel his entire career, Shahram?
Absolutely, he would be anti-Israel. And also, if he is a practicing Muslim, he's going to be anti-Jew in the long run with regards to, and I'm so glad you said what you said before the break. You read right through, his verbiage of we're going to have no, bigotry, because that he flipped that to simply mean we want to protect Islam and not allow anybody to criticize Islam. I also want to remind people, Brandon, that this individual and this type of context, what you brought up earlier, is exactly what operates in the lower house. So in the lower house, they will take the Jews or the Christians as allies. They will say, we're one of you, we're together. They will say to the LGBTQ, we support your rights, to the trans. But what happens when they transition to the upper house, as now they are doing in New York City, as they've done in Minneapolis, as they've done in Hamtramck, Michigan, or Dearborn Heights, or East Plano, Texas? What they do is then they don't lie. They just tell you now, no, I'm sorry, we don't support those things. Islam, Sharia does not promote these things. So this is simply a tactic that they use in the lower house, which is the house of war. It's warfare, and deceit is permitted in warfare in Islam. And once they get the upper hand, but the foolish New Yorkers who didn't vote, and or the illegals, as I said earlier, and or all the universities, all the radicals that have already been. This is, again, a textbook example of the red-green axis, promoting the red, and then bringing the red over to the green. Remember when the couple was killed in D.C., Brandon, I said to you that I have no doubt that most of these Marxist, socialist, communists are going to be converted to Islam. Now, this guy is already a Muslim, so he doesn't have to convert to anything, but I think that's also the future for many of these Marxists supporting this Islamic agenda.
So where do you see this going when it comes to other states? Have we got $13 million reportedly going from the state government? $13 million from the state government. I had it up on my website here earlier today at worldviewreport.com. I think it's still there for those who want to go see it. $13 million going to these mosque and community centers in Texas, and this is Texas tax dollars. If this is what's going on in Texas, what hope is there for Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, these other states? And then, of course, if this can gain root in Texas, it can come here to Tennessee. It can happen in other states that we never thought it would happen.
It's going to go everywhere, Brennan. It's going to go everywhere. And I believe that problem started from September 11th. American people have a hiccup, a bump on the road on September 11th. When I saw what Mr. George W. Bush did 4 days after September 11th, when he went to the Muhajirun Mosque, the immigrant mosque, and spoke highly of Allah and Muhammad and Islam, and Nihad Awad was behind him in the left side, and all these Muslims of care were behind him, I said, America have not learned the lesson from September 11th. That was 4 days after September 11th. And just after that, a few weeks later, we have in Orlando, Florida, where I used to live at the time, they actually gave $300,000 to build a mosque inside the airport, not away from the airport, inside the airport. So 200,000 Muslims come up with and 300,000 from our tax money to build the mosque. And I said, for sure, you can kiss America goodbye. The problem we have in America is not how much money we give to the Muslims, millions or whatever number we give, thousands to them. The problem is American people do not know Islam. Until today, Fox News never quoted one verse from the Quran. I mean, literally, one station after another, one media after another, everybody, nobody is talking about Islam except us here. If the American people do not know Islam, why not give them 13 million or 1,300 million? What difference does it make? But if we know how savage that cult is and how dangerous Muslims are here in America, if we can see what the Muslims are doing, the mayor of London, we would never have to have in America a Congress or a Senate or a mayor or anybody in these positions. But the problem, Brandon, is this. American people do not know anything about Islam, and Islam is presented to us to be a wonderful, loving, peaceful religion, and you get the Abrahamic Accord, and you get this, and get that, and everybody is going to be happy. Let's all be one big family. And if somebody speaks the truth about Islam, he or she is called Islamophobe, and they're silent everybody to speak the truth about Islam, and that's how Islam will win in the end.
What does it mean to you that he's from Uganda? What brand of Islam do you think he follows? And does his coming out of Uganda give us any sense of that, Shahram?
Well, his father, let's not forget his father, his mother is Indian descent. She's a Indian film producer. His father is a professor at Columbia, but has Ugandan descent. So he's kind of a mixed race. But again, he himself, as I said earlier, if he's identifying as a 12er, and Trevor Loudon had reported on this. Claire Lopez had reported on this. I saw this all over the place, that he had come out and was identifying with Iran as a 12er. That means that he's got a virulent eschatology as far as his belief of what chaos they're supposed to bring about in order to usher in the Islamic Messiah, and he's going to be from the strictest interpretation of Shia Islam, if that's what he's identifying with. So this is a radical, quote, radical on both fronts. He is a socialist Marxist to the full extent. He's also, to the full extent, a fundamentalist Shia Muslim, according to his own words. And by the way, are you familiar, Brandon, with canarymission.org? That's
yes.
a website that tracks a lot of the, quote, pro-Palestinian. Yes. They have an interesting article on Zohran right on their front page. I encourage people to go look it up because it's a good article that kind of breaks down both his affiliation. Because remember, he led a Students for Justice for Palestine group, but he's also, again, part of the Democrat Socialist, part of the so-called Jewish Voices for Peace, which is, these are the self-loathing Jews. So this is not in any stretch of the imagination anybody that is, quote, moderate, anybody that is, quote, not practicing Islam. He is fundamental. He is been bred, and the aspirations of what I've read is that it's not just even for mayor. His aspirations is for governor and potentially future. Just like we remember with the guy in Michigan, Abdullah Syed, that was, at that time, they were claiming he would be Obama 2.0. They're now saying this guy could be the next kind of Obama, young, good looking. He's not articulate. He's just, he's just comes across as utterly angry.
And by the way, guys, the Muslims are very united in America. It doesn't matter if you're a Shia or the Sunni, because they are here to be united, take over this country. By the way, every time we go to a mosque, we ask the leaders of the mosque, the imam of the mosque, are you Shia? Are you Sunni? And they pretend they don't even know what we're talking about. They are very united. Here you see, he is a Shiite, and he is supported by CARE, who are Sunni. And it doesn't matter. As long as they are Muslims, they are united. And they are picked very well for many years. This is not just something happened last week. This is all planned by the Muslims for a long time. And you see that happening in every state. In every state. We have Muhammad Fatah is a guy from he's running in Minnesota as a mayor too, right now. And he's a Muslim Somali born here in America, 35 years old. And you're going to see this in every big city in America. And Muslims are united, and all liberals are united with them to help them to take over this land.
Didn't he say something after October 7th that was really troubling after the attack on October 7th in Israel?
That was Nahad Awad, who said he was praising the attack of October 7, 2023. And here is Nahad Awad giving that man $100,000. What do you think? What do you think is the connection between Sunni and Shia, those who support the jihad in Gaza, and those who are running for a mayor in New York? It is so sick. And the American people cannot see it.
1-800-347-9829, 1-800-347-9829. Your thoughts, your comments, your questions, 1-800-347-9829. Is he having any contact or working in any way with Linda Sarsour? Do either of you know?
Yep, she actually gave him $2,500. It is on record. So and that is a woman, she said, we will never assimilate in America. We will never melt in the melting pot. Here we go. How in the world she supports that man if he does not have the same ideology?
Yeah. And Brandon, don't forget that already 1,200 members. Now, it seemed like a small percentage, but 1,200 members of the 35,000 member NYPD are Muslim. Don't forget that they already have their Muslim community patrols in New York City, where they get uniforms, they get vehicles that look like police vehicles. They're not law enforcement. They don't have any kind of arrest powers. They don't wear guns yet.
But they're Sharia patrols. They're Sharia patrols. Sharia patrol cars, right? Trump?
Yeah, they're called Muslim Community Patrol, MCP. Yeah. MCP, Muslim Community Patrol, which in essence is a Sharia vehicle, because because what they do is, right, they take over areas, they create chaos, they have gangs like they've done in Minneapolis and St. Cloud, Minnesota and Michigan, and then they say, listen, let us patrol our own areas, let us police our own people because we know our people better, and the foolish, stupid city officials will say, "Oh, okay, we'll give you a uniform, we'll give you a police vehicle."
After September 11.
Whoa! I got you guys talking on top of each other. Go ahead, Usama, your turn.
And that's exactly what happened after September 11, when the Muslim Brotherhood in America told the FBI, "Let us be the policemen to help you to catch the bad Muslims. We know them. We don't want to. I mean, we're going to help you." Can you imagine the Muslim who attacked us? They're going to help us to catch the bad Muslims. That's exactly their agenda.
They're gonna police themselves and let the no-go zones grow, which will be sanctuary cities for jihadis. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah. And by the way, here's the nature of Islam. You give them an inch, they go for a mile. Mm-hmm. And they already got plenty of room to grow in this land.
Let's go to Faith in Pennsylvania, line 3. Faith. Hi, Faith.
Hi. Sometime after 9/11, Dr. Stanley Monteith weighed in on this. Does anybody remember that?
I do, but I don't remember what he said.
Yeah, I mean, all I can remember is that he said, and all the people that supposedly died are still alive, and that is the Islamists. I'm pretty sure he said
Oh,
that.
You know what? We've seen pictures of people claiming that those guys that were on the planes are actually still alive. But I don't know. There's no proof of that. Do you guys know that, guys? If there's any proof of that?
I believe this is just a comedy. I don't believe this to be true anyway.
Mm-hmm. We come back. We'll get to Andreas in New Mexico. We'll get to Zoe in Illinois. We got another line that just opened up, 1-800-347-9829. We'll continue to take your calls. Usama's website is thestraightway.org, thestraightway.org. And Shahram's is tilministry.com, tilministry.com. Hey, be sure to stay tuned for Crosstalk with Jim Schneider coming up next on over 100 outlets nationwide at vcy.org. We'll be right back.
I'll tell you one little quick story. We had a Worldview Weekend client who lived in California, lost their house. Very wealthy guy. He didn't use Bitcoin. He came over here, drove to Arizona with $286,000 worth of his gold because he had no money and no house available. His bank was shut down because he couldn't have access to his bank account.
Was this during the fire? Was this during the fires?
During the fire. Didn't have his driver's license. He lost it. The state wouldn't give him a new license because he had no active mailing address. Real mess. So he came to Arizona to buy a house. He's moving everything over. He said, the only thing I got in my possession that I can get liquid with right now is my gold. I gave him a check for $286,000, and guess what? I didn't need his social, his driver's license. Sort of smiled, and I said, you know, I know you and Brandon talked about how this worked, but boy, this is great. I feel good. I got my money. Nobody bothered me, and I'm protected, and it's private.
Just simply go to worldviewgold.com, fill out the form, worldviewgold.com. All right, I guess he is the 36th Assembly District. He's an assembly member for the 36th Assembly District. So he's in the state legislature. And yes, he's been pushed by anti-Israel agitator Linda Saussure. And he is the son of an anti-Israel professor who has called for Israel's destruction. I'm reading this at canarymission.org. And apparently has his bachelor's degree in Africana Studies. Africana Studies, huh? I wonder if he could keep a hot dog stand running in New York for 6 months. I don't know. A lot of these guys can't. But do you really think that he's the one in charge? Do you really think this guy is steering his own boat? I don't think so. I think these guys have already laid out powerful forces behind this guy. And I'm afraid this is going to go and grow. And sadly, I hate to say this, folks, but the modern evangelical church in America is completely asleep on this, minus a few. Comment on that very quickly, Sharon, if I go back to the phone lines. Most evangelical churches won't touch this topic, will they?
No, they will not. As a result by the fact that folks like us and Osama and others are not being invited into most of these churches because they either think it's too hot of a topic, they don't want to be offensive, or they're believing the lie that there's commonality with Islam, that there's a peaceful version of Islam, that we have all this multi-faith, Abrahamic faith heritage and lineage. That's where the majority of evangelicalism is. And or like our buddy James White, sorry, I'm being facetious, I shouldn't say that, like James White, who then claims that there is some version of Islam that is tolerant and we can get along together as he did with Yasser Qadi.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go back to the phone lines here. Let's go to Andreas. I think I'm getting that right, in New Mexico, line 1. Hi, thanks for calling in.
Yes, thank you for taking my call. It seems to me like New York's getting exactly what they've been needing. And, all of us know that the scripture allows leaders and removes leaders. So there's a good scolding coming in there. But they seem to forget, everyone seems to forget that God is in full control. And as long as his people, his believers are trusting him, and the few, the proud, and the ones that stand with Christ, he is in total control. So
yeah,
keep praying,
I agree with that,
and keep fighting the good fight.
I agree with all that. But do you think we should be warning people, right, about this worldview that's so against the Christians and the Jews?
Absolutely. The more the American people know the truth about.
Well, I was trying to ask the caller. Wait. I was trying to ask the caller. Andreas, are you still there?
All good now.
Okay, I can't hear him. All right. Let's go back to Usama. Boy, this is difficult today. Everybody wants to talk at the same time. Let's go back to Usama. I hear what he's saying, but we can trust the Lord and still blow the shofar at the same time, can we not, Usama?
Absolutely. And we cannot be standing on the wall seeing the enemy coming to destroy America, and we just think, thank you, Jesus. No, we're here to shout, enemy, enemy. And it's up to the American people. They can do whatever they want. I mean, literally, the chance for him to be the mayor in New York is big now. And if we don't say anything about it, yes, for sure, we are helping him to win. So obviously, we are here to warn the people. We're going to speak the truth. And if people don't like it, it is too sad. Our hands will be pure before the Lord. I don't want to have any blood on my hand when I meet with the Lord.
Zoe, line 2 in Illinois, regular caller. Hi, Zoe.
Hi, Brandon. I just wanted to make a comment, particularly Usama, but I want both of them to comment on this. I have a friend who dated a Muslim who had been in the Cairo Police Department, and he said practice of homosexuality was very common among Muslim men.
Oh, yes.
And especially with young boys, but Muslim, he said it was like all of them. Not, I don't think it was all of them, but he acted as though it was like everybody in that police department was doing it.
It's very prevalent. Let me get to that, Usama, and Shram can comment. There are videos that some of these websites have put out that track Islam, and one of the video clips that keeps popping up, and I don't know what country it is, but it is, I would say, 12, 13, 14-year-old boys, Islamic boys, wearing their long robes and their turbans on their head, and they are gyrating in front of men like they're auditioning. What is that about, Usama?
It is some cult from within Islam where they have this party where boys stand up and dance, and then some men will bid. Whoever bids a bigger money, he will take that boy home and be involved with them sexually. And it's not something we can support by the Quran or the teaching of Muhammad and the Hadith, even though we know from the saying of the Hadith that in the end, Muslim men will be rewarded with a bunch of boys, 30 or whatever, 300 boys, where they will be involved with them sexually. But on earth, it is not the norm for Muslims to be involved sexually with little boys or with other men. That's why we kill them in Iran or in Iraq or in Egypt or Saudi Arabia. When they see these, as Muhammad stated in Abu Ubaidah, the hadith number 4447, Muhammad said, kill the man who does it and the man to whom it is done. Talking about the homosexual acts. So
if people find out.
Let me go to Shahram. Thank you, Zoe. Let me go to Shahram. Shahram, you want to respond, Shahram?
Well, I would add that I think Sahih International in the Hadith does promote. There's two questions because the caller is saying homosexuality among men, and then you brought up the issue of young boys. In the Hadith, Sahih in chapter 76, it does talk about that there will be a circulation among them in paradise of young boys that are in eternity. They're eternal. With pearls, that they're beautiful as scattered pearls, young boys. And so I saw this in Iran. In Iran, there is a huge percentage of molestation of men to young boys. It's very prevalent. It's a secret mention. So to Osama's point, yeah, homosexuality is not permitted, but I do think that you can make an argument that the Hadith does bring this concept that eternity isn't just riddled with these 72 virgins, but also with young boys who are like pearls.
Wow.
Which is sick.
Yeah,
which obviously is demonic and sick.
Absolutely. TheStraightWay.org. TheStraightWay.org is Usama, and TILministry.com is Shahram. Thank you, guys. Appreciate your analysis. We'll continue to watch this trend, folks, as so many Americans don't even want to mention the fact he's an Islamist. They'll talk about him being a socialist and a Marxist. But what about Islam, folks? All right, stay tuned for Crosstalk. Thanks for watching and listening. Take care. And we are back. And I think those two guys are gone now, right, guys? All right. With that being said, I want to run for you something Melissa and I did the other night. Can we run that, Logan? Got a huge response. And I've always said my wife is the best spokesperson for this great product we take each and every day, Bella Grace. We had her come into the studio. She hadn't been in a while to talk about it. And you know what? The doctors can talk about it, but they never get the response. God bless them. They never get the response Melissa does. I think it's because she is the one that found the product for us, researched it, and she's telling our own story, and she's so authentic. I want to share this with you in closing because this, folks, is a big part of how we keep all of this information flowing to you free of charge. Watch this. Annie Cyrus, yet tonight, Dr. Lana. But real quick, I wanted to bring my beautiful wife, Melissa House, back into the studio. She hasn't been here in a long time. And I wanted her to come back in and then just tell you how important this elixir is, as well as the other great products at melissahousebg.com. Because, again, this is a major, major way you can help us continue to push out this network and all this great programming free. And, folks, this has 80 clinical trials behind it. Here you go, babe. Great to have you in the studio. The mic is yours.
Thank you. It's great to be here. I just wanted to come on and just thank everyone that is subscribing to Bill of Grace. And it's just such an amazing product. And we tell you all, I know Brandon tells you all the time of all the ways it's helped him. And I just get reports from people continually when I'm on the phone where it has helped them in so many different ways. And so I just love to come on here occasionally and just tell people that you're helping support, the network, but you're also going to help support your health. It helps with skin issues. I've had people that have had pretty serious eczema, other skin issues that it's helped with, of course, fine lines, wrinkles, hair growth, all of that is obviously a plus. But
yeah, it's a plus.
Joint health is a really big thing I hear from people that it's really helped them with their joint health. I talked to a lady not too long ago who said she had trouble like walking. She walks a lot outside and she was getting where it was harder for her to walk. And within like a few weeks of taking the Bell of Grace, she was able to walk and not have any discomfort. I hear that all the time. I hear people that were having trouble walking around the grocery store and things like that, that are now able to get around really without a lot of discomfort like they used to. And I think it's definitely because of the cat's claw combined with the collagen, because as we all get older, our collagen drops in our body, and we need that in order to keep our joints healthy.
And why is this collagen better than that cheap stuff?
Well, the peptides are cut short, first of all, and it's top drawer collagen, and it's able to cross the brain-blood barrier, where you're absorbing about 95% of this product versus what you would get in another product with collagen. You'll be lucky to absorb about 5%. So people tell me all the time, like I can tell a difference. They tell me they feel better, just overall feel better, overall feeling of well-being, just feeling healthier, having more energy.
And we've had people talk about their eyes, right?
Right, and it's also really good for eye health. I had a lady not too long ago that had a retinal surgery, and she was in a lot of pain and having some, vision issues after, and she started taking the elixir, and she said she really noticed that it helped her. But it is supposed to help. Different doctors that have, been on talking about this product, that promote the product, say that that's one thing that it does target is the vision. Mm-hmm. Mainly like joint health, vision, skin issues, but we have hair, a lot of gut issues. You had... Because
the lining of your gut is collagen.
Right, the lining of your gut, and your gut's,
leaky gut's a problem.
Right, and it affects everything. So I just can't say enough about this product. It's helped me so much. I feel way better than I did before I started taking it. I have more energy.
And your hairdresser says you have more hair.
My hair grows so fast that I have to get it cut way more frequently than I used to. So, but I just love talking to the people and hearing all the positive comments, and about 80% of people that subscribe to this do not get off of it. And so,
which tells you something.
Right. So that tells you that it's working. And it really helps us in supporting the network. So I wouldn't push a product that I didn't feel would help people, but I just feel like this product is just, overall, it just does so many different things for your health. And also the astaxanthin is a strong antioxidant. So it fights free radicals and, what all that can, can help you with.
Right.
We all need antioxidants. So the collagen, which is the top drawer, the cat's claw, and the antioxidant, all three of those combined. And then there's also vitamins. I hear people say sometimes, well, I take all these vitamins, so I can't really afford the elixir. But there's vitamins in this product as well. There's C, A, E, and I think there's like one other vitamin in it as well. So, if that's an issue, you could always, cut back on some of your vitamins.
And some of those vitamins they're taking may be really cheap, bad vitamins that are
kind
not
of wash through your system.
Yeah, washing through anyway.
But with all these products combined, you're able to retain the vitamins and the nutrients. And like I said, I can't say enough about the product. And the skincare is amazing as well. If you're looking for really good skincare that helps target fine lines and wrinkles and keeps your face hydrated. That was one thing that it really has done for me, is help my face stay hydrated. And I just love it. So
good. All right. Well, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
MelissaHouseBG.com, MelissaHouseBG.com. She's the one that introduced us to this product. She's the one that made me get on it. I was like, yeah, it's
I
good.
don't usually do that. But
No, you don't usually do that. But she made me get on it. I was like, yeah, it's good for you. But I wasn't really going to.
I could tell more energy within the first few days of being on it and was sleeping better, just a variety of things that it helped right away.
Well, she made me get on it. I'm glad I did because my hands cleared up. I haven't taken a Pepcid since December of 2023. Hair growth has been amazing. So again, we've just had great results. And again,
it's a great way to help support us.
yeah,
So.
great way to support us as well. So do that. MelissaHouseBG.com, MelissaHouseBG.com.